This is who we are. This is what we believe. This is PBS.
From children's shows you can feel good about to breathtaking documentaries and educational series, we're committed to enriching lives across West Texas. But we're more than just TV. Our local events bring us together, sharing and celebrating the unique stories that make our community special. You can be a part of all this. Joining is simple. Visit basinpbs.org or call 432-563-5728. Every membership keeps us strong and keeps these stories going.
There was a huge dance boom in America in like the 70s and 80s.
It's all like, oh, that looks really good. And as soon as Gabe and I are there, we're like, ugh.
One of the real reasons it was formed was to help regions develop actually good dancers so that you could be in a small town and have good training.
That is utterly remarkable.
Whales coming up?
Hold on.
This is huge.
Here we go.
The more whales you have, the healthier the ocean is.
They're the biggest land animals that have ever existed.
The most special thing is going somewhere that nobody ever has before.
It's perfect.
Get ready, West Texas. Wynonna Judd is headlining this year's Main Street Live, Friday, May 23rd. The biggest street party of the year takes over Main Street in downtown Midland, right in front of Basin PBS. Tickets and sponsorships are on sale now. Enjoy an epic night of live music, VIP experiences, an exciting auction, amazing food, drinks, and more. Get your tickets now at basinpbs.org or by calling 432-563-5728. Supported by S. Javed Anwar and Midland Energy. You're watching a Basin PBS Town Hall, Midland and Odessa College School Bonds. What you need to know. Made possible with support from HEDLOC Investment Company and Parkhill.
On Saturday, May 3rd, voters in both Midland and Odessa will weigh in on the futures of Midland College and Odessa College. Trustees of each college are proposing capital improvements which focus on expanding workforce training to fill high-demand jobs in oil and gas, healthcare, and skilled trades and construction. I'm Becky Ferguson, coming to you live from the Basin PBS Anwar Family Studio with a special town hall to provide citizens with information on the upcoming bond elections. Consistent with our mission to educate and inform, our format tonight is intended to provide information, not advocacy. We are happy to have a small studio audience and to have all of you, our Basin PBS supporters, watching at home on channels 13 or 36, and also on KWWT My Network 30 TV. Tonight, we are hosting representatives of each of the colleges to detail their proposals. We've received viewer questions via Facebook this week, and we'll pose those questions and invite viewers to propose additional questions during tonight's broadcast. To submit questions, please go to Basin PBS Facebook page or our Basin PBS YouTube channel, and we'll do our best to ask your questions. Tonight's town hall will be divided into two segments, the first half hour with Midland College officials and the second half hour with Odessa College officials. Our program this evening is made possible by HEDLOC Investment Company and Parkhill. So let's get started with introductions of our first panelists. Christine Foreman, trustee of the Midland College Board. Adrian Carrasco, the secretary of the Midland College Board of Trustees. And Dr. Damon Kennedy, president of Midland College. Thank you all so much for joining this evening. And Damon, I want to start with you, and if you will, we're going to get into details of all these proposals, but if you'll just give us a broad stroke of what the proposal includes.
Absolutely, thank you. The Midland College bond is in the amount of $450 million, and it's divided into four key categories. The first of which is applied technology, and that's $277.5 million, and that emphasizes our energy and heavy industry programming. The second of which is health sciences at $43 million, and this is going to give us the opportunity to expand dual credit health sciences programming. The third key category is campus renewal. As you know, our campus is 50 years old now, and so we'll be focusing $119.5 million on revitalizing our campus core. And then the last key element of our bond is campus safety and security at $10 million. And, you know, unfortunately, today is one of those days where you're reminded that campus safety and security is absolutely essential. And so we're certainly heavy-hearted about what has happened at Florida State just today.
Well, Adrian, let's start with the first part of the proposal. If you will give us details on the applied technology proposal.
Yeah, you know, the Applied Technology Center is very important in this bond, and it's important because we as community colleges have to listen to industry. And so it's going to house 17 critical pathways that are important to our area, you know, those being welding, auto mechanics, diesel technology. If you know that diesel technology is just not just working on an F-250 anymore, it's big machinery that is required for fracking and other areas of our technological boom in the oil and gas industry. And so it's critical that we teach students what they're going to be doing in the field, and we have to teach them with real equipment, big equipment, so we need higher bays, higher buildings that will house this equipment. Not only that, but also the cranes that are going to be lifting the motors out of that equipment so they could work on. So it's very critical. And I remind people that even if you look at electrical and AC and HVAC, AC and heating, that's not only feeding the oil and gas industry, but it's also helping commercial construction and also residential construction. Not only that, but service. So there's a big need in our area. We're a growing population, and you know, according to Dr. Ray Perriman, by 2040 there will be an additional 300,000 jobs that are going to need to be filled in the Permian Basin. So it's important that we as community colleges fill that void, work with the demand of students and the growth of students that, you know, now they want to get a career, get into the field and work. We're blessed by what's underneath us in oil and gas, but we also have other opportunities in the healthcare and hospitality and other areas that are just as important. So that is, as an employer, I've been screaming this for a long time because I feel it too. And I join my other colleagues that do the same thing in the oil and gas industry. So it's an important initiative. And, you know, as you can see, Governor Greg Abbott has made that a priority in the legislature this year on training our workforce and working with industry. So it's a very important piece.
And Christine, would you detail the second portion, the health science portion of the proposal?
Sure. So health science is so important in our community, in any community, for our citizens from birth to death. We have healthcare shortage in our community, and the facilities that we have are not large enough to house the number of students that we need for dual credit and vocational nursing. So we're going to be expanding the footprint of our health science center at $43 million, which is part of that bond, but also very important to think about that we're turning away, for every one student that we admit into our health sciences dual credit, we turn away 3 students. So we need to expand that, and there's a need there, and there's a need in the workforce to fill those gaps as we're looking at having a new Permian Basin Behavioral Health Center in our community, as well as our local hospitals and other medical facilities. If you have gone to the doctor anywhere in our community right now, you've waited 2 to 3 hours sometimes, or you don't even get an appointment and you have to go somewhere else to see the doctor and seek health care. So it's very important for us to be able to work with both our schools, our K-12 schools, as well as getting them in for dual credit and other certifications.
So what jobs are being trained for in the Health Science Center?
So phlebotomy is one, and LVN program is another. There's X-ray technology and sonography. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Surgical technology as well.
We provide a host of training programs, and Christine mentioned most of them already, but EKG tech, CNA, phlebotomy, patient care tech, pharmacy tech. It runs a gamut, really, of technician level positions. And I want to add on, to what both Christine and Adrian have said, by including that not only are we turning away 3 students for every 1 in health sciences, but we're turning away 4 students for every 1 that we admit in welding. And the environments we're creating in these new facilities are real world environments. And our students are going to be working on the real world technology. So the equipment that we will have is equipment that they'll service in the field. For example, a 1,000 horsepower generator. One of those goes down in the field and you may cost an operator $20,000 an hour. And so we want our students to have the experiences in an environment where it's lower stakes, because they don't have a supervisor over their shoulder saying, you got to get it, you got to get it, you got to get it. And we want to create an environment where you can actually break something and not be fired. You want to break something, fix something, you learn a lesson, and you go out in the field and you don't make the same mistakes.
Well, from what you all are describing, these have to be just massive buildings.
They are. Yeah. These are huge high bay facilities in applied technology. Some of the equipment that we're going to be bringing in is over 15 feet high. We worked really diligently, really closely over the last 5 years, 7 years with business and industry to understand the kind of spaces that we need. And as we began the design process in a diesel facility, for example, we engaged the Warren Katz of the world, Archrock, et cetera, and we thought we had done great work, and they came back and said, your bay doors are too narrow. And we said, well, this is the equipment we're putting in there. And they said, yeah, but we're going to bring it to you. And our trailers are bigger than your doors. And so we left no stone unturned in the planning process through this, and knowing that we want to make sure to get it right.
Okay, so the first 2 proposals are the applied technology proposal and the health science portion, and then there's 2 more, the campus renewal and the safety and security. And I'm going to go back to you so you can talk a little bit more about those in detail.
Sure. The campus renewal piece of the bond, as I mentioned a moment ago, largely addresses the 50-year-old structures in our campus core. And so when you drive down Garfield and you look back to the east on our campus in the main entrance, the anchor building that you see is our library. And so we want to pay close attention to that. In addition to the library, we're looking really long and hard at our dorms, because this is where parents drop their kids off. And this is where our students live. And so we're looking at not only creating safe environments there, but welcoming environments. We're trying to create an atmosphere on our campus where students want to be. And our dorms, while they're 25 years old, which doesn't seem terribly old, have been well lived in by 18, 19, and 20-year-old students. And so we're embarking on a full redesign of those structures. And so LRC and dorms are 80 to 100% redesign and remodel.
And LRC is a library.
Library, correct. And these are 50-year fixes, because we recognize the kind of investment that we're making now is substantial, and it needs to be a 50-year fix. In addition to those buildings, we're looking at our Allison Fine Arts building. The mission of that building right now is a little misaligned. We have our early college high school there, and it's a hugely successful early college high school. In fact, a Blue Ribbon campus, the top performing campus in MISD, and that's a result of the great collaboration. But it's also home to our Wagner and Brown Auditorium, and our McCormick Gallery, and our Midland College Foundation, and the coexistence of ECHS, Early College High School, and some of those other functions of that building just don't make a lot of sense. And so, again, we're looking at those 50-year-old buildings to ensure they last another 50 years.
And then what about safety and security?
Yeah, safety and security is addressed in every area of this bond package, but there are buildings that we won't touch. For example, our Murray Hall Academic Building, our Pre-K Academy, our Cowden Dining Hall. And so we're going to utilize the funding there to ensure that there's consistency across all buildings and platforms and software. We're going to make sure that all of our door controllers are on the same platform, so that you have to have multiple systems running at the same time. And again, it's just unfortunate in 2025 that that has to be something that you're hyper-focused on, but it's something that we're hyper-focused on.
Christine, the board has put together this $450 million bond proposal. Could you explain how the board arrived at this proposal?
Sure. The community was deeply involved in a bond advisory planning committee. We invited multiple people across different areas of the community to come and be a part of the meetings that we held. We weren't asking them to rubber stamp what we had put together. We were asking them for their input on sharing the data of what we felt like was necessary, but then also asking them to weigh in heavily on what they felt like as a community they wanted to see for Midland College. So 3 meetings with over 100 active members on that planning committee created what actually turned out to be the $450 million bond. I do want to point out that there were things that were brought up that Midland College wanted to address that the committee, quite frankly, ranked very low on the needs, and we were looking to be very fiscally responsible, and they helped us make those decisions by ranking what was the most important. And so we pared down what we provided and came out, and the trustees ultimately voted on based on community input in order to be fiscally responsible and really just address the needs, not the wants.
And I would add, if I may, that this wasn't a quick decision. This took over a year and a half, where we instituted infrastructure studies that was brought to us by administration to tell us the need. We listened to the community, of course, and I think for us as a board, that was very important. Midland College has a great history of being fiscally responsible. We have taken care of our money. We have taken care of the taxpayers' money, and it's evident. You can see that. It's public record. But it's very important that we as board members also continue to think about the community and think about the tax dollar. And we did. And it came to the point where we had to listen to industry. But the most important thing is that we're turning students away, not just students from the high school, but adult students that want to learn as well. So I think that's important to know why we're here and why we do the things we do. And that's because we want to change people's lives and change students' lives. So I think that's very important as well.
Well, Damon mentioned a moment ago that you all also involved the business community in designing some of these facilities. Do you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have advisory committees, and I think that's very important. That's one thing that I talked to Damon a lot about, that we have to listen to the industry. The industry needs to tell us what they need, because what they need today is going to be totally different maybe in another 3 months. It's just always changing with technology. So, we included the Warren Cats, the Arch Rocks, the compression, automation, electrical companies to make sure that we train to what is needed. We can't just pick out of a box what we're going to teach. We have to literally teach the industry, and that's important. So we're grateful for industry that continues to work with us and continues to give us that advice that we so need to make sure that we're providing and producing the top-notch future employees that they need.
Well, I'm going to stick with you for a second, Adrian. If the bond passes, how will you keep the community informed of the progress?
Yeah. Something very important to me, for sure, and this board, is that transparency is very important. So we will have a committee that will make sure that they have oversight over the bond. We will obviously communicate to the community what we're doing with their tax dollars, how we're progressing with the project in all aspects. We had somebody call us and say, why don't you put everything down that you're going to be spending money? We did it. We have nothing to hide. And I think that's important. I think it's important that you continue to communicate with the taxpayer and that you're upfront and you answer their questions. It's not hard to do, but I'm committed, as well as our fellow board members are, to transparency, committed to working hard to make sure we pay this bond off early. I think that's also important, and that's a commitment that we're willing to make.
How long will the construction take if the bond is approved?
But 2 years.
Yeah.
We have to be ready by the time the high school's open. So they open in 2028, so we have to be ready by then.
Yeah, so we've invested about $18 million in the last almost 2 years now. And our planning it has been exceptionally thorough. And so in the event of a successful bond package, you know, we'll run through a canvassing and cooling off period, and we'll then turn around and sell the bonds. And our expectation is that we could put a shovel in the ground in 60 to 90 days. With health sciences facilities opening in the spring of 28, applied technology facilities opening in the summer, ready for students in the fall of 2028. And as Adrian said, it's perfectly aligned with the construction of the new high schools.
Why is that important?
It's really important because, you know, we face certain struggles in terms of serving dual credit students. One of them is transportation. You don't think of that as being as really significant as it is, but it's very difficult to find bus drivers and to keep buses on route. And so when we bring everything to the main campus, we'll run a constant loop of buses between the high schools, and we'll have everything under one roof, essentially. And the high schools themselves have designed some entry-level lab spaces, and we're already today enrolling additional students in anticipation of a successful bond and the opening of these buildings in 2028.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the tax implications for Midland citizens. If it is approved, what will the tax rate be, and how would somebody figure out what it means to them?
Yeah, so we're anticipating or projecting at this point the bond sale at 5.17%, which would have an implication on your taxes to the tune of 4.972 cents per $100 valuation, or easier to remember for me, is $49.72 a year per $100,000 valuation, which is $4.14 a month.
Okay.
And I don't mean to minimize that. It's still your tax dollars, but it's an amount I think you can wrap your mind around. It's a little less than $250 a year if you own a $500,000 home.
Okay.
I'll add also that we checked rates today. Were we to go out for sale, we'd be closer to 4.3%. So we're being conservative in our estimates.
In the last few months, there have been a lot of reports about the possibility of drilling on the Midland College campus. Adrian and Christine, I know that you all have both been involved in the negotiations. So I'm hoping that you can bring us up to date on the negotiations and also talk a little bit about, and you too, Damon, if you want to, the ramifications of drilling on the Midland College campus. So who wants to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think definitely that's an important partnership, and that's something that we as a community college have to continue to do, is look at collaboration and partnerships. And so we were able to, the board was able to confide in myself and Christine and Mike Eastman to go out and meet with Mr. Arrington and talk about a deal. And in principle, we were able to come up with a deal, put it in the northeast corner of the campus where we had already set some land aside based on where we were going to build if we passed this bond. So that was a good opportunity. And so, you know, there's an opportunity for us to get some money at this too. I mean, it's not the $600 million that, you know, people have said that we're going to get. That would be great. But there is some opportunity, and I think as stewards and having fiscal responsibility, we can do something with that money. And I also think there's an opportunity for an educational, advanced educational opportunity to probably be in the first community college in the nation that would have a live oil field lab, so we can train lease operators, train well techs. So we came together. Right now it's in the hands of attorneys, and they're going back and forth and doing a really good job at it. And we're grateful for the partnership. We will have a drilling rig on our campus at some point. And we have gone through all the safety, the security of it, all the planning that goes into that, because that was a very important piece. And we're grateful for the operator that really looked at that opportunity with us of the importance of safety.
I'll add to that just a little bit, and Adrian covered it very well, but I think one thing that I really being new to the board and having this kind of be my first opportunity at collaborating with a community partner and understanding the pros and the cons, and really sitting down and talking about, you know, what would drilling mean for our campus, and what are the things that would make it work, and what are the things that we would have to, you know, decide if it was a good thing for the college, if it was a good thing for the community. And I feel really good about the conversations that we've had and the way that we could really, satisfy the people in the community that wanted to see drilling and the people in the community that were maybe concerned about safety issues around a college campus. And we have a pre-K, building on our campus as well as a daycare. And we have, young students on our campus. So I feel good that we've been able to talk to the operator frankly about that and come up with a really great plan for a deal that will not only be a good fit for Midland College, but also for the community, and it will keep our students safe.
Well, I would say that kudos to the Board of Trustees for understanding the magnitude of this deal and this challenge, for understanding that oil and gas built Midland College. When you walk around our campus, there are names on every single building. And there's a reason for that. It's because the families that took from the ground those riches, they gave back, and they built our college, and certainly Midland College isn't going to walk away from that.
Can you talk more specifically about the financial implications for the college, but also for the city of Midland?
Yeah, I think of this in a handful of buckets. The operator has assumed all of the risk and made all of the investments, going to sink a lot of money in the ground before anything comes up. And so obviously, the operator and partners are going to profit from that. Homeowners and businesses to the south, additionally, will profit from this, which is, again, something that the trustees weighed really heavily in decision making. The city of Midland as well, and I don't have the numbers right at the tip of my tongue, but a couple $100 million in royalties, and the college will realize a smaller amount, and then some dollars in service damages and lease bonus and others, and so it's pretty diverse and widespread, and again, kudos to the trustees for weighing, everything in terms of, who gets what in this deal and how it benefits the college and the community.
You mentioned a moment ago that lots of the buildings on campus are named for folks who have made contributions. So I take it there is also some private funding that has benefited Midland College in addition to bonds.
Yeah, absolutely. Midland College has only sought and passed all three bonds, 1972, 1976, 2005, so this will only be the fourth in history of the college. If you look at the most recent construction projects, it's our Pre-K Academy at the college and our Cowden Dining Hall, and the Pre-K Academy was funded exclusively by philanthropy and corporate gifts, and that's a $32 million building. The Cowden Dining Hall, obviously the Cowden family was very, very generous, and one of our trustees, Linda Cowden, led the fundraising effort there for that facility, but again, built completely with philanthropy. And you can go all over our campus. It's Abel Hanger, it's Scarborough, it's Peavy House, it's Fasken, it's the names and they're oil and gas names.
And I think it's important too, if I may, that, everywhere I go, I remember when I was running for this position, everybody's like, Midland College is the crown jewel of the community, and it surely is. It really is. And I talked to a lot of families, a lot of people that it's really affected me. All 10 of my brothers and sisters came to Midland College from Kermit, Texas, and that started us. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to do the thing. It would have been hard for us. And so it's touched a lot of lives, and it'll continue to touch a lot of lives and change lives and really help with the economy as well. It's going to be, it's just an important piece of our community.
And I want to add one thing that I've heard and had questions about, and I think they're good questions, but talking back to the money that Midland College would receive from the drilling deal, maybe $40 million over 20, 25 years, and we do have a lot of philanthropy and business support, but there's no other way that we could get to the number of $450 million without going to the community for a bond. And that is the way that it's designed, that we don't get funding. The college does not get funding from the state for bricks and mortar. We have to go out to the public and ask for it, and so that's what we're doing.
Damon, real quickly, you mentioned the previous bonds. Give us just a little thumbnail history of Midland College.
Interestingly enough, it begins with a failed bond effort. And our friends from Odessa College are in the studio, and if you go back to 1972, there was a desire on the part of the Midland community to have a physical campus in Midland County. And the bond at that time, and I don't want to fuel the kind of Midland-Odessa thing because, you know, it's 2025 and it's probably time to forget about a lot of those things. But the Odessa community was not really convinced that they wanted to spend their tax dollars in Midland County. And as a result of a failed bond, community leaders went down to Austin and more or less demanded that a Midland Community College district be formed. And so, you know, the college was created, again, ironically enough, of a failed bond. And I mentioned already, but that very year, taxpayers approved a $5.1 million bond, and then a couple years later, 6.3. And I'll tell you, in total, you know, we're just north of $50 million in bonds approved in the 50-year history of the college, and it's a $550 million campus. So it's a pretty good investment.
Well, I think we're going to have to leave it there for right now. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Our thanks to Damon Kennedy and Adrian Carrasco and Christine Foreman of Midland College for detailing their upcoming bond proposal. Up next, panelists from Odessa College, so stay with us.
Get ready, West Texas. Winona Judd is headlining this year's Main Street Live, Friday, May 23rd. The biggest street party of the year takes over Main Street in downtown Midland, right in front of Basin PBS. Tickets and sponsorships are on sale now. Enjoy an epic night of live music, VIP experiences, an exciting auction, amazing food, drinks, and more. Get your tickets now at basinpbs.org or by calling 432-563-5728. Supported by S. Javed Anwar and Midland Energy.
From children's shows you can feel good about to breathtaking documentaries and educational series, we're committed to enriching lives across West Texas. But we're more than just TV. Our local events bring us together, sharing and celebrating the unique stories that make our community special. You can be a part of all this. Joining is simple. Visit basinpbs.org or call 432-563-5728. Every membership keeps us strong and keeps these stories going.
There was a huge dance boom in America in like the 70s and 80s.
It's all like, oh, that looks really good. And as soon as Gabe and I are there, we're like, ugh.
One of the real reasons it was formed was to help regions develop actually good dancers so that you could be in a small town and have good training.
That is utterly remarkable.
Whales coming up? Hold on.
This is huge.
Here we go. The more whales you have, the healthier the ocean is.
They're the biggest land animals that have ever existed.
The most special thing is going somewhere that nobody ever has before.
It's perfect.
Welcome back to our Basin PBS College Bond Town Hall. We now have officials from Odessa College. We have President Dr. Greg Williams, Kim McKay, the Vice President of Student Services and Enrollment, and Gary Johnson, the Odessa College Board President. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're so glad that you're here. As we did with the first segment, I'm going to start with you, Greg, and understand y'all's proposal contains 7 different projects. And if you could detail the first 2, which I believe are the Workforce Building and the Downtown Business Development Center.
Yes, 7. Thank you for having us.
Certainly.
And thanks for being here with us tonight, to the audience and all of those who are viewing. We have 7 major projects, a lot of smaller projects within that, but the 7 major things we're trying to accomplish. The first one would be the workforce building. That's the lead product out of this work, because we're in the business of helping our students to be able to go to work and to do well and to have great lives. And the workforce building will be a sister building to the new health sciences building that we recently opened, again through private fundraising and funds from the college. But we were able to build that 4-story building. We would have an additional 4-story building called our Workforce Center across the street. And it will house a number of our technical programs, a number of existing technical programs, welding, automation, robotics, and those kinds of things. But we'll also add new programs like cybersecurity and programs like that, and also some where we might look at dental assistants and things of that sort. So that program that building will exist across university from our current health sciences building. And then the second one you mentioned would be in our downtown green space in Odessa, a space we've had for a little over a year now, and that we've again had some good moments sharing that space with the community for outings and other things. But there would be a business building there, and we would move our business programs there, some computer science programs and some other things. But in addition to that, we would have community spaces, we would have innovation spaces, we would have small business spaces, so that we can enhance business operations, teach people how to be entrepreneurs, and support our community in that way.
Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to place it downtown?
Yes. First of all, because we support what Odessa is doing in downtown Odessa, and we signed on to that maybe 3 years ago, where we started helping with that. We have the new Marriott there and some other facilities coming in that area. We were able to develop a green space, which has been really attractive for our community. And when we built that space, we said, let's do more than just a play space, a gathering space. Let's teach people. Again, we're Odessa College, we're in the business of teaching. So let's attract people to that space and then allow them to become better entrepreneurs. Let's teach our students about business professions and those things, accounting, et cetera, and enhance the community while also enhancing the college.
Okay. Kim, would you mind detailing the other two of the other third and fourth components, which I think one is related to children, you told me, and the other is the early college high school. So if you'll give some details on those.
Sure, so we'll start with the babies.
Yeah.
Odessa College is already home to a children's center that many families working in Odessa choose that for their child care. But it's not enough. What we've learned as we have planned for this particular bond is that the Permian Basin is experiencing what they call a child care desert. And there's not enough spaces for young children to receive care during the day while their parents are working. And that's affecting business and industry. If you can't find child care as an employee, then you stay home or you don't transition to the Permian Basin to live, learn, work, and play in this particular instance. So it's really important to us to build on what we already have, a successful children's center, and create a space where more children can learn, more families can take advantage of it, and then use that space as a learning lab for the child development and education programs on our campus. We anticipate this new child care center, which will be the retrofitted Jack Rogers Fine Arts Center, is what most people know it as today, will allow us to double, maybe even triple the child care spaces in our community, something we desperately need. When you look at child care, I think that the ratio for infants to employees or to the caregiver is 1 to 4, and that space is so desperately needed in our community for those people to be able to contribute to the workforce.
So you talked about expanding it. So how many children are you serving now, and how many would you be able to serve once it's expanded?
I think the child care center is serving upwards of 80 children now, and so we'd be able to double, maybe even triple the capacity if we look into after-school care and some of the summer programming that's so desperately needed in our community.
Additional to that, as Kim noted, it's also a dynamic space where we will be able to help more children, but we will be able to help more teachers. I think that's the super emphasis. And as we get more teachers out there, that's when we can start attacking this problem that we have, not only in Odessa, I believe you have that in Midland as well, and we need to educate more people, and this space will help us to do that.
To be in the child care business.
Yes.
Okay, so you want to go on to the next one, which is the early college high school.
Sure. So Odessa College is the home to 2 early college high schools. OC Techs is a technical early college high school preparing students for careers in business and industry immediately upon graduation. They are welders and energy technologists and culinary arts. They're in all the programs that our business and industry needs right away. The other early college high school is a traditional transfer early college high school, Odessa Collegiate Academy, OCA. They've both been on our campus since 2015, 2017, and grew from 100 students in the 9th grade, the first class, to well over 900 students combined on our campus. These students are on our campus every single day using and utilizing all of the facilities that we have. OCA, we tucked them away in Dedrick Hall, and many people that have lived in Odessa for years know that Dedrick Hall is the place where every recital and performance was for the community for a very long time. But it's over 75 years old, and it's fallen into disrepair, and it's become a place that is difficult to heat and cool and plumb, and those students deserve a nice new learning space. And so the bond package includes retrofitting the former health sciences building to house the early college high schools, ensuring that they keep their identity, which is so important to those schools and to the students and the families that choose the early college high schools, but giving them a space that they can learn without having to worry about whether the heat's going to come on or the air conditioner is on during STAR testing this week. And so they deserve nice things and nice spaces, and that's what Vision 2030 will do.
Okay. Gary, I'd like for you to tell us about the proposed Performing Arts Center.
Okay, as you mentioned, Dedrick Hall is where we've had what we call our performing arts area, but now it's scattered all over campus. You know, we have the Globe Theater. I know a lot of people have been in the Globe. That's part of that. You know, the visual arts as well. You know, there's so many new things coming out in arts, you know, for digital photography, digital sound, those type of things. So we need to get all those things in one area. And so we're going to put them in there, and also that there's so many new things coming out. It'd be flexible enough that we can add these as we need to, and yet they all get their training there. It'd be a place for performances as well, you know, for the band, the choir, the drama, all those type of things. Be classrooms in there, so it's really an area where we get all those things together, because they all work together to do different things.
Greg, back to you. If you will give us some details on the Sports Center.
Yes, the Sports Center has been in place at Odessa College for about 43 plus years. It's been a really good space for not only our students, our student athletes, as well as our community. A number of individuals enjoy that. I think we have 2,000 members who are non-students who work out there, exercise, and do all those things. So, and we also have a pool that's near Olympic size. And that has been a boon for us. It's worked really well, except it's aged out. Most pools last about 25 years in good repair. We've done everything we can to nurse it along, but at 43 years now, it's at end of life, and it's time for us to replace it. So we don't simply want to replace it and we'll use pools as an example. We want to be smart as we go forward. We built a near Olympic-sized pool. That's not what we really need. We need something that's about half that size, but use those other dollars to have a therapeutic pool space for those people who are doing rehab work, those people who need the comfort of that, and also have space for our seniors and those people who need that. But in addition to that, a third element of a water feature would be something more like a water park type situation for our young people, and for those who want to simply come and enjoy that space. What that does is it makes it attractive. I mean, we've had a lot of people who've used the pool we have, but since it's time to move forward, we can do something that's even more attractive, more usable, and that will really enhance our community. So with that, the pool's important. We've had some repair issues with the sports center. Again, 43 years of age. It looks good from the outside. Some would say it's disintegrating from within, from the inside, and we need to repair it. So in addition to the pool, we need to repair pipes and all those kinds of things. And we have ADA issues. So if we go in and we repair the pool.
American Disabilities Act.
American Disabilities, yes. So if we go in and we repair the pool, we have to bring it up to code, up to the American Disabilities Act code. So it would cost us so close to building a new one that our architects tell us the best thing to do is to start with a clean sheet of paper. We can do some things more innovatively. We can take advantage of modern technology, and we can have better facilities. We'd also have a space connected to this where we could take the outdoor sports and bring them inside and allow our community to do that with us, so that one can practice soccer or football or those types of things indoors and have that space available to them. Again, attractive to our young people. This is all about our workforce. We want to attract people to our community, we want to educate them, and we want to keep them here. 81% of the people who graduate from Odessa College stay in our community, and this will be another way for us, again, not only to be attractive, but also to help people stay here.
Will it also be a sports arena for your team?
There would also be a sports arena as well, yes, for the teams, as well as space for celebration, space for congregation. We bring people together in those spaces as well. So
Graduations?
Yes, graduations and those things. Every facility we have on campus is not only for the college, it's for the community as well. And we charge a small fee for cleaning and energy and those kinds of things, but we open those spaces up to our community, and this allows us to take a step forward.
Greg mentioned...
The Sports Center is one of the best places for our community to enjoy the campus. It was just this weekend that Compass Academy had their spring bash. They totally transformed the Sports Center to celebrate their students and their success. And then on Saturday, they were using the softball and baseball complexes to play their high school varsity games. And so Dr. Williams is right. The community is very much a part of our mission and our support and our service to the people that live in Odessa.
He brought up pipes a minute ago, so I'm going to make you describe the last component, which is infrastructure.
Yeah. Infrastructure is so important to the college. You know, we're sitting on a campus that is over 75 years old, and while we are really good stewards of the taxpayer dollars and the tuition that we receive by allocating almost $750,000 to deferred maintenance or preventative maintenance each year, including continued investment in master planning for Vision 2030, there are things that happen on our campus that we haven't planned for or that we didn't expect. And one of the most, I guess, overt examples that we've shared with the community is that our women's basketball team was preparing to leave for the national tournament, and they were in their locker room and a sewer pipe bust right above their locker room. And so this is a group of ladies that are trying to prepare for a national championship, and essentially they were homeless. Their locker room was not usable until the season was over and the new group of student athletes came in. And so there are preventative things that we can plan for and that we can use our deferred maintenance allocation to support and shore up, but there are things that happen in real time that we're not quite prepared for. And so by moving forward with Vision 2030 and a new performing arts venue and a new child development center and a new workforce center, we'll be able to have our students learn without interruption. And I think it's important, they said this earlier in the Midland College bond discussion, that we don't receive funding from the state for brick and mortar, and the tuition that we receive from our students is for instruction and not construction. And so going out to ask the voters to continue supporting us so that we can continue to contribute to the workforce is vitally important.
Another point
let me add a couple things. On we talking about, you know, a lot of times you hear things say, well, why don't you take care of the things that you have? We do that, but you know, as Kim said, you know, life happens. You know, we have a great staff, a great facilities manager. They do all those things they should do. But like she said, things I mean, you don't plan for a pipe to break and flood one of our halls, and you know that we had to do. You know, we've got temporary chillers around because you know those things go out, and you've got to heat and cool your campus. So, you know, they've done a great job. Like I said, when you're almost 80 years old, things happen, and a lot of people say, well, why don't you fix those things? Well, even in your own house, you don't go replace your water line till you have to replace it. You just don't go because you got all the stuff you have to, you know. So I think that we've done a great job preventive maintenance, but it's just that, you know, those things happen, and you have to, after so long, things just wear out.
A couple things I'd add to that. When we have these things break, for example, Kim talked about the locker room. That locker room, that break was so bad, and that sewer break was so bad, it almost destroyed that locker room. So we had to replace that. We had to replace all those pieces that were impacted. We've had to replace 2 of our main athletic floors, the wooden floors, because we get a leak in the sports center and the water damages the floor. You have to start over and you have to replace that. And one last thing I'll mention that was brought to our attention earlier this week, I hadn't thought about it, but as temperatures start to soar to high 80s and 90s, half of our campus, as we speak, is operating on portable chillers because of our main chillers are down, and we're working around bringing those up to speed and replacing those. But half of our campus now is being cooled by portable chillers.
Portable chillers. Gary, so y'all are asking the citizens to approve $325 million in bonds. Could you talk about how the board arrived at the project?
Yes, we've had for probably the last several years have done studies about, you know, what we need, what we, you know, and really they came back. We've had community meetings, and you know, after we kind of devised what we need, we really have urgent needs of about $500 million. But we thought, no, we're not going to the community with that, you know. So we reduced it to $325 million. And again, it was some of those things, you've got to think of the most urgent needs that are going to help us do what we need to do, which is to educate, train the workforce. So those people are important in the community, and they stay, and they want to be involved in the community. And as Kim said, she mentioned about that, you know, we do not receive any funding from the state. And I always like to point out that, you know, I think that's why we're a community college. We're in the community, we want the community to support us, and we're going to support them. So we do the training, the educating, but yet it's your community college. We want you to support us and work with us.
Greg, could you detail what the implications are for an individual taxpayer?
Yes, the average home or the median price for a home is about $170,000 in our community, and that person would pay a little less than $14, an additional $14 a month if this package is successful.
Okay. And then I'm going to stick with you for a minute, Greg. If you will give us a little bit of history of Odessa College. When did it come to be?
Odessa College came to be in 1946. So we are an older campus, as we said, almost 80 years of age, serving Odessa, and as you were reminded earlier, serving Odessa and Midland for a while, and doing a really, really good job. We've served the community for a long time. We've done workforce education. We've done academic transfer. A number of years ago, we moved into doing more dual credit, doing that really, really well. In 2016, we had our first dual credit graduate with an associate's degree before high school diploma. This year, we'll celebrate and graduate over 800 students in our service area with that degree and credential before they graduate from high school. We're an innovative community college. We're probably one of the most awarded community colleges in the United States. We've been top 10 in Aspen a number of times. We've won Achieving the Dream's Most Distinguished Award, and we're a leader college with them. And also, we've won 3-star awards in the last 8 years. And those awards that are given by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And you'd be hard-pressed to find any college in the state of Texas or university. Again, they go to both colleges and universities. We compete against each other for those. And you would be hard-pressed to find any college or university to have 3-star awards in the last 8 years.
And how many students do you all serve in a given year? Kim, do you mind taking that one?
Sure. Total students over an academic year is 16,000 students. Most community colleges report their annual enrollment, credit enrollment in the fall every year. And so for the past 2 years, we've exceeded 10,000 students taking credit classes that lead towards a high-value workforce credential or have high value in transfer.
Okay, we have several Facebook questions that we have gotten over the last few days and some tonight. Odessa voters voted down the college bond last November. Why are you asking voters again? And should this bond fail, will you ask again? So who wants to take that one?
I'll take that.
Okay.
We were really close last time, but we didn't do a good enough job of explaining it. That's what Gary and I talk about all the time. We don't feel we communicated effectively enough. But if I were to dress up and put on my best shoes and clothing and I go apply for a job and they turn me down, I'm not going to just say, okay, I'm done. I won't ever have a job again. I'm going to go back, do some more research, spruce myself up a bit, polish myself off, make some adjustments like we've done, and then I'm going to go back, because no doesn't mean no forever. No means not right now, and we want to go back to our voters and explain to them what we're talking about. We were able to refine the ask a bit, shaving off $30 million, and we think we have a very attractive package. We think we've done some really good things. Our board challenged the administration and the entire Odessa College team to be extraordinary, and we've had extraordinary results at Odessa College. We want to continue that, and again, people can decide how they want to support that or not, but if we want extraordinary, then we have to make certain decisions.
Gary, maybe you want to take this one. How much is still owed on previous bonds? And will you explain why the bond shouldn't be paid off before you seek another? Facebook.
I don't have the numbers exactly what.
It's 52 million.
52, okay, thanks. I didn't have that. I think that it's like, I explain it this way, is that, you know, if you own a house, and you pay on your house, okay, well, why don't you go buy a car if you hadn't paid off your house? I think, again, you have to manage your responsibilities that you have, and anything of this large is going to take a time. And again, as Midland mentioned, that we look forward to being paid off early, because you save the taxpayers money that way. But you cannot sit here and say, well, we're definitely going to pay it within 5 years, 10 years, because you don't know what the situation is going to be. But I think anything that's worthwhile, you know, as I mentioned, a house, you know, why don't you pay off your house before you go buy something else? Well, it's because it's the way people operate, basically. So I think that made that a very good answer, but it's just that we have every intent to pay off our bonds quicker, because it's better for everyone.
And I'll add to the reason we've come back at this point, and two reasons. Both are growth. Our community has grown quite a bit, and our college has grown tremendously. We're serving twice the students we were serving when we passed that bond in 2010. We were able to be very successful with that, and our community has benefited. Our graduates have increased by 280%. So we've benefited from that, but since we've grown so much, we know there are new, we have a need for 30,000 new employees in this area in the next 7 years, 200,000 by 2050. We need to get to work so that we can be prepared.
Well, also with what we've done is we've done a good job, but yet we've done a good job for the community. Mm-hmm. The community, we want to provide the community what they need as far as workers, those type of things, but also it makes a community a better place to live. People want to live here. As he mentioned, 81% of the people who go to Odessa College stay in the area, and those are the people who are going to grow the community. I'm thankful that I went to Odessa College. I'm thankful that the people that came before me had the foresight to say, we need to plan ahead for the future. That's what we're doing. A lot of the people that now will not benefit from some of the things for years, but yet the community will, and we want to make it a better place to live and a better community to live in, be a part of.
Well, here's a very specific question. What will be the square footage of the building for the new basketball arena and the seating capacity?
That has not been fully determined. We have an idea of what we're doing, but that is not. The architects haven't had a chance to do their programming and those kinds of things, so we can't give you the exact numbers, but we know it will be larger than the current sports center seating capacity.
That is going to have to be the last word. I thank you all so much for coming this evening and spending time with us. Many thanks to each of our panelists this evening. Early voting in each of the bond elections begins on April the 22nd and it concludes April the 29th. Election day is Saturday, May the 3rd. Check your county election websites for polling stations and times. Tonight's program was sponsored by HEDLOC Investment Company and Parkhill. We thank you, our Basin PBS board and staff, along with the Elizabeth Reed Yeager family and the Onwar family for their generous support of Basin PBS. And of course, thank you, our members, and all of our viewers for your support. If you are not a member and you would like to become one, please visit our website at basinpbs.org. And we would like to invite everyone to join us for our 6th annual Main Street Live concert featuring Winona Judd on Friday, May the 23rd. You can get more information on our website, basinpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Becky Ferguson. Good night.
An excited pack of roadshow treasure seekers has arrived at the Maryland Zoo.
Stopped at a yard sale. It really kind of caught my eye, and I said, would you take 7? And she said, yes.